Are we seeing a subtle but important shift in the Prime Minister's tonality on the messaging of Ab Ki Baar 400 Paar? It was earlier a rally war cry. Now the Prime Minister trying to explain why he needs the 400 seats, countering the opposition's charge that the BJP is gunning for 400 plus because they want to change the constitution. To talk about this, we've got pundits from across different perspectives on the ideological spectrum. I want to welcome first Sheila Bhatt, long-time watcher of the BJP and has tracked Prime Minister Modi's journey over the past several years. We've got with us on this broadcast Rajat Sethi, who's worked with the BJP on multiple campaigns. We've got with us Sanjay Jha, who's a Congress-leaning analyst, author. Jayanto Ghoshal joins us. And last but not least, I have Sharath Pradhan for a perspective from Uttar Pradesh. I want to go across to Sheila Bhatt first because she has a good temperature check of what's going on in the BJP, understands the mind of the Prime Minister. Earlier, it was a rallying cry for his party, for Karyakartas and for the voter, Ab Ki Baar 400 Paar. From there, we're sensing a change in tonality where he's now having to explain why he needs the 400 plus, trying to counter the opposition's messaging that this is to change the constitution. Are you A, seeing a clear shift in tonality on Ab Ki Baar 400 Paar, and B, why in your sense is it happening? What's going on, you think?
Hi Rahul. Yes, I do think that Ab Ki Baar 400 Paar has not worked the way they wanted to. I think Ab Ki Baar 400 Paar was a call for his cadre, his voters, his core constituency. But I think the way Anand Hegde and later Jyoti Mirga and others spoke about it, that 400 Paar is needed to change the constitution, then, it's a hardcore war going on. It's a competition. And in this kind of battles, reality doesn't matter, truth doesn't matter, only perception matter. And here, perception went down in villages, particularly in Dalits and tribals, that 400 Paar, if BJP gets it, they may tamper with reservation. And, 2-3 things have come out in a very stunning way in this election in last fortnight. That the election, which was like a given, is now played in every constituency. Suddenly it has turned local. And because of this fear. And I think Prime Minister very rightly and on a very timely manner picked up this fear. And that's why he's from Banswara onwards, from Banswara, Tonk, everywhere, today in Madhya Pradesh and everywhere, he is now changing he's setting the new agenda to counter this fear, which started that they may tamper with reservation. And I think this is a reminder, Rahul, fantastic reminder to all of us that how much caste matters and how much reservation matter. What happened in August 1990, Mandal versus Kamandal, and Kamandal has to always worry about Mandal. And Mandal people, this two politics is still dominating us. That is the message of this change.
What you're saying suggests that the Congress and the India Alliance were able to create a subterranean narrative. Because this wasn't playing out on television channels, not even on mainstream social media, because nobody really said in the BJP that they would do away with reservation. There were loose comments on the likes of Arun Govil, the BJP candidate from Meerut, Lallu Singh, the MP from Faizabad, Jyoti Mirda from Nagaur in Rajasthan, Anand Hegde, who's been denied a ticket. So none of these are BJP big guns. And they've spoken of constitutional changes. They haven't explained what, and they certainly haven't said that they would do away with reservation. You're saying, Sheila, that you think in WhatsApp groups and in other mediums available to the opposition, they were able to build a counter narrative because so far, usually since 2013, it's the BJP that sets the narrative and it's the opposition that reacts to it. Are you suggesting that you think the opposite happened in this election?
Yes, I think opposition played a game very well to counter BJP's such a overconfidence, I would say. And I think Muslims, everybody knows that they are going to vote whoever can defeat BJP. And if Dalits also shift with Muslims, then in almost more than 80 constituencies, candidates' own caste, Dalits and Muslims can really help Congress very well. So I think this was a very serious matter, and that's why Modi has turned so aggressive.
And
And
as
I
a
think
long-time tracker of
same
the
from 90 onwards, we are
BJP and
seeing
of
the
the
same
Indian
game.
political scene, Sheila,
Mandal and Kamandal.
you think this is now becoming a localized election being fought on every
Yes,
seat rather than a
I
national
think
election?
so.
Are you
But
sure?
no, it was going local, and first phase was very clear that it was going local. It is becoming localized election. But I think the way Modi has single-handedly changed the mahol and setting the agenda every day, and particularly little bit helped by Sam Pitroda. So things have again uh, become little. BJP is it is helping BJP the
Okay,
way
you know, that's a
Prime
hunch
Minister
and
is
a theory.
campaigning.
There's no way of knowing for
But
sure.
I
But
have
you've
no
said,
doubt that this
yes.
one rumor really cost BJP,
You know, this is
and
a
they had
rumor
to
that's
change their
hurt the
track, and they
BJP
had to
once
do
in the
something.
past, Rajat Sethi. In 2015, when RSS chief Sarsang Chalak
Yes,
Mohan Bhagwat
yes,
made a
yes, yes.
general comment on the philosophy of reservation, not linked to doing away with reservation in any actual context, and Lalu Yadav went to town with it. But that was very public, and that could be seen out in the open.
Exactly.
What Sheila Bhatt and several political observers seem to be suggesting is that a counter subterranean narrative was built, saying that they'll snatch reservation, that this is what the RSS and the BJP have always wanted to do, which is why they want such a big mandate. The Prime Minister has been speaking about big decisions in the first 100 days. What we've seen from Banswara, do you think, is it very clearly an attempt to counter that mixed and false information the opposition was pointing and putting out, and do you think it's working? Rajat Sethi.
Rahul, there are 2-3 things that are happening. Just a couple of days back, I was on France 24, and the international anchor, asked me, is Prime Minister going to change the Constitution of India? So, this boogie of creating this fake narrative that reservation is going, Constitution is going, autocracy is coming to the country, those sentiments have been peddling in at a larger level, but also at the grassroots level. BJP's opponents in several constituencies, I know even in Vidarbha region, where there is substantial Dalit base, over there too, this sentiment was being...
No, but can I pause you to say that the opposition's tried to build these narratives like Chaukidar Chor Hai in the past as well? They never worked. If this constitution will be changed and reservation will be done away with, if this narrative is gaining ground, is it also because these sections of voters think maybe it's true that they're actually concerned?
Well, see, BJP has largely shed that tag that it's a Brahman Baniya party. It is no longer that. So I think it might gain traction to in the already existing pockets of the opposition, where they rile them up, where they gear them up, that there is a cause that you're fighting for. But beyond that, I don't see it has significant traction. However, there are two other things that are working. In the common parlance, we see that when a David-Goliath battle goes, and when the Goliath is saying that I'm going to win 400 seats, the sentiment of public tends to go somehow goes with the David. And I think over here, Congress was consistently playing that underdog and trying to get emotional sort of current, just trying to tickle with that. I'm not sure if they were gaining grounds, but somewhere at least what was happening was it was becoming a David in this battle. And Prime Minister therefore came out and started saying that, see, if these people come to power, you will have 5 prime ministers in 5 years. He's now trying to draw contrast that, see, where have I taken the country? Where will the Congress party will take the country? So he's bringing out the evil. The third thing also that is working is that when, complacency sets in, when you hit such tall targets, the support base of BJP, the core base of the BJP starts thinking that, yes, Prime Minister is anyway coming to power. Let me deal with my local person.
This is an important point. I want you to build on this, because several of our reporters who've been traveling
that's how it is
actually reported back to say that because several of these MPs have been repeated, some of them have been around for 10 years, while the BJP supporter thought well of the Prime Minister and his actions, he was angry and irritated with his local MP, saying this guy hasn't done work. इसको सबक सिखाना है. पीएम मोदी ठीक है, उनके तो 400 आ रहे, कुछ नहीं होता, 399 आ जाएंगे, इस वाले को हराना है. Do you think that's been a problem that's played out on the ground as well? Rajat?
So, see, in certain pockets, it started gaining ground, and this is where it was becoming localized. So, in geographies like in Maharashtra, election was very, very local in the first phase, not so much in Vidarbha, but just the sentiment. But Prime Minister, this is where his agility, his understanding of the pulse, which other political leaders do not have. He quickly understood that these 3, 4 factors are actually gaining some traction, and I need to flip the agenda. And he has been doing that consistently, right from Banaswada to today. Every single pitch has
But how do you
been
know it's working?
that see,
Because
the ugly picture of Congress regime is going
but
to be
how
there.
do you know it's working? Because the BJP tried this in the Karnataka assembly elections as well. It didn't work there. So it's not as if suddenly because there's a Hanuman pitch or there's a very strong divisive pitch that it always works. There have been instances where it hasn't worked. So how do we know at this moment, mid-campaign, whether it's working or not? Rajat.
It's just to, it's largely to first of all energize your base. Clearly, also you very well know that you lay a trap, and Congress will merrily walk into that trap, and Congress has been merrily walking in. Otherwise, tell me what on earth, why on earth would Congress come out with a Muslim reservation issue, bringing them under the OBC? In Karnataka, Muslims were anyway voting for you. What do you stand to strategically gain by doing so, other than like polarizing the entire state of Karnataka? So you don't this is where Prime Minister succeeds, that every time, he is busy in re-strategizing, recalibrating everything, Congress comes out and falls in the ditch, which is being created by the BJP.
Sharad
So
Pradhan, what's your
Congress to
reading?
mess it
Are
up
you
every
seeing, like Sheila and Rajat, a bit of a change in tonality on Abki Baar 400 Paar? Is the messaging now, according to you, different from what it was at the start of the campaign, Sharad?
Well, Rahul, I think Abki Baar 400 Paar was a miscalculation of Prime Minister Modi, because he thought that by building this facade, he'll be able to build a mahal, as somebody rightly said, to really make huge leaps in this election. But little did he realize that this would have another impact on the people. And the moment this message, I think the opposition took advantage of that and sent the message across among people that, look here, he wants this, because 400 was spelled out by a number of BJP leaders, and no top leader chose to condemn them or to
But
deny.
that's not correct. They pulled up Ananthek. They cancelled his ticket. So it's not as if Arun Govind is frankly a nobody. He's just a television star. He's been given this ticket. He counts for nothing in the BJP's ideological scheme of things. Jyoti Mirda used to be in the Congress. She's just come in. So it's not as if she's the ideological heavyweight. And then there is Lalit Singh, the Faizabad MP.
Giriraj Singh is a hardcore BJP man who's hailed by the party. Giriraj Singh. So I think that it was later in the day that Mr. Modi realized that this would be counterproductive, and this would impact. It had already started making waves among the Dalits, that it was not limited to just making India a Hindu Rashtra. So it was all against Muslims. It was also against Dalits. And obviously any opposition party would take advantage of that and go to town, spreading this word that this is what they want. And in the bargain, Modi has started now saying that the opposition wants to change the constitution. It sounds, I think even inside BJP, people, supporters of BJP, I find, have started questioning this. And they say that this is becoming too much. And the level to which the Prime Minister stooped down in Rajasthan at that Baswara, that was not expected of a Prime Minister, like somebody who's a Vishwaguru, who's rated as a Vishwaguru. And to come down to Mangal Sutra and then on lies.
No, but is this attack working? The Mangal Sutra attack, the inheritance tax attack, the wealth survey attack.
No, nobody
is
said,
this
for
working?
Instance, just as you are saying that no important leader of the BJP said that, Sam Petroda is no Congress leader. Sam Petroda saying anything on an inheritance should, now you have to have a balance. After all, the BJP took to coming down to divisive politics, and Mr. Modi taking the lead in that, and using a lot of lies. Nobody talked about Muslim reservation. Somebody just now said, nobody said. Nowhere in the manifesto has it been said that they would bring in Shariat. Now, coming to this level of lies is not expected of a ruling party like the BJP. and that too by the Prime Minister himself.
No, but at
So
this
that
moment,
is, I think,
really,
is
it's not
making.
about morality. It's about who wins, who loses. That's really what it's down to. Of course, we'd like it to be about morality, but it's about brass tacks. Will the BJP be in power or not? Will they get much more than 300 or not? If they don't, then the tonality of the government changes. Frankly, it's just down to that. Because this is, as they say, all's fair in love and war, and this is war from both the government and the opposition's perspective. I want to go across to Sanjay Jha. Sanjay, are you sensing a change in tonality? And Rajat says that with the blitzkrieg that is launched since last week, the Prime Minister has been able to nip the damage very early, realize that there was a potential problem and quell it.
Well, I tended to quite like the analogy that Rajat mentioned, the David versus Goliath, because the truth is that David wins in the end. And I think you're looking at a very fascinating tussle from here on. But I believe the headwinds are now with the opposition. And I'll tell you why, Rahul. Number one,
if the headwinds are with the opposition, it means the opposition is being pushed back. You mean the tailwinds are with the opposition?
Correction,
okay, no problem.
Tailwinds are with the opposition, and I see the opposition really gaining. Here is my point. When Mr. Modi made that statement about 370 and 400, look at the timing of when he said it. That was the time when the Ram Temple consecration ceremony of the Pran Pratishtha was happening. And I believe Mr. Modi and the BJP believed that this election was done and dusted because it will fall into the emotional quotient trap, where everybody will be so carried away by the religious fervor that, issues won't matter. But the truth, and once again, this is the reality, the Congress manifesto, and this is what Mr. Modi has been talking about. The Congress manifesto, it is now the agenda of our times. Rahul, go back to how many programs are now happening on what the Congress has articulated. Frankly speaking, that shows two things. Number one, the BJP after 10 years is finding itself rather mealy-mouthed in saying what it has done, what are its achievements to the people, and believing that that has the currency. Because frankly, there are many fault lines. So they may claim X, but there are many things that haven't happened. And in economics, anybody who knows, you do something, but there is a cost for doing something, you actually can't do something else. The second point is the Congress's appeal to what they believe is the real issues matches with what is happening at the ground. Now, you can agree or disagree with the CSDS survey, but they said the 4 or 5 prominent issues with the common people of India across the country are unemployment, which is a serious issue, inflation that you cannot ignore, particularly food inflation, corruption, electoral bonds, and you can't ignore the fact that development in the last 5 years, India has grown by just 4.1%. There will be consequences. All of us on this program are pretty privileged, Rahul. No, here's my last point. Mr. Modi is attacking the Congress manifesto and the fact that, Rajat says that he energized the cadre. But at what cost? He's got a hate speech allegation against him. He's alienated, let me tell you, many
Let Rajat respond to that. Sanjay says it's alienating the middle swing voter who's the pro-development but not necessarily pro-Hindutva voter. It brings down his image as this global statesman making India a Vishwaguru, and it doesn't behove the position of the Prime Minister. Respond to Sanjay Jha. Rajat.
Well, first I wanted to tell Sanjay ji that Congress is no David, it is Mungeri Lal. Unfortunately for the Congress,
we'll discover that.
They daydream, Sanjay ji. The problem is they don't have stalwarts, good strategic thinkers like yourself on their side, because they each time, when they possibly see an opening, they really ensure that they themselves close that opening. And this has happened repeatedly. And I have raised a couple of points that, you're talking about manifesto. I think manifesto is the weakest link of the Congress party. And this is why it has been torn apart, shredded every single day by the Prime Minister. You the other day were saying that, there is no mention of inheritance tax, but there is also no mention of reservation being taken away by the BJP. But still
but that's the whole point. We're discussing issues which the others are alleging to do, which aren't frankly. The BJP has no intention of doing away with reservation. There is no mention of that in their Sankalp Patra, and neither is the Congress saying anywhere that they'll take the Mangal Sutra of our women away. So it's almost as if we're living in this make-believe world where you throw whatever mud you can and hope that something sticks, and some of it is sticking.
But Rahul, here is the point. If every opposition party is saying there should be a caste survey, and there has been a caste survey not publicly declared, why is the BJP the only party shying away from doing a socio-economic caste survey? And that obviously raises the question that the BJP is deeply uncomfortable, and all of us, since we are politically very wired up, know that the BJP sees it as a threat towards larger creating that very monochromatic Hindutva campaign. Because if you do a caste survey, that will challenge the whole hypothesis.
You are sitting on a socio-economic caste survey in Karnataka. Tomorrow is the election. Why does the government not tonight come out with the findings of the socio-economic caste census in the state of Karnataka? You will never do that, sir.
You are not even in favor of the survey.
You would never want to.
You are not even in favor of the survey.
I know the real politique, when it comes in, you will cave in. This is the problem of double speak of the Congress party. You are in power in several states, but you never
Ghoshal,
talk about doing.
From your lens and from what you're seeing in West Bengal, are you seeing and sensing a shift in tonality on the messaging of Ab Ki Baar 400 Paar? What are you picking up, Jayanto?
Rahul, actually, I think I broadly agree with Rajatji. It's a re-strategization. It's a prolonged election process, 7 phases. And in West Bengal, the last election just before the result will be declared on 4th, and the last election will be just 2-3 days before that. So I think it's a prolonged and re-strategy, because when Prime Minister announced and he said about the Ab Ki Baar 400 Paar, it's a more psychological warfare. It boosted the cadre and it set the agendas. But you know, in a Akhand Bharat, it's a huge state-wise federal issues, and you have to act according to the local issues also, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the strongest brand equity of the party. And in this election, it is BJP and Modi. It's a synonym. So in this scenario, it's a responsibility of Modi ji also. Like in Delhi, you have changed the candidates for the local anti-incumbency, and Prime Minister is dependent not only the BJP's feedback or intelligence feedback. He's professionally also, he gets a lot of feedbacks from different states. And in West Bengal also, this like CAA, I think, Hindu consolidation, you thought about the Hindu consolidation, but the Muslim insecurity also created the Muslim consolidation. Earlier left and Congress, they got a portion of Muslim vote. This time I am afraid the situation is changed. And you know, and so it's an example of West Bengal I have given, but in different states like UP, you have a vehicle like Yogi Adityanath. You need only Modi equity cannot serve your purpose, because you need organizational strength, you need a local faces who will communicate the message of Modi ji. And Modi ji in the first leg, he emphasized on South and the Eastern region, but now the Hindi heartland election, the main, the BJP's determining states are coming, and here you have to go with the local issues, and this reservation and the religiosity and the caste issues, you have to make a balance. So I think it's a change of strategy. It's not that when Modi started, he could not understand, and now he is understanding.
Is it working?
I think it is not fair.
Is it helping damage control? Is it fixing the bleed? Jayanto, what's your sense?
I think, yeah. You're asking me?
Yes, Jayanto.
Yeah, I think taste of the pudding in its eating. It's a trial and error, because Prime Minister is the person who is the main brand ambassador of the huge election, and he is traveling here and there. But you know, this shift of main agenda, I thought that Ram Mandir issue will work more. Now I think in a different parts like southern India and the eastern India, Ram Mandir issue is not that active role. What
Rajat said, did you buy that the Ram Mandir is a lesser issue than the BJP would have liked it to be or thought it to be? Rajat?
So, yes and no. I think Awadh belt, where I come from Kanpur, I still believe the entire Awadh belt is steadfastly with the BJP, and it has its spillover effect in the rest of UP as well as Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan as well. So I don't buy that argument. Local candidates are making this as a poll agenda. It might not reach, the chorus might not reach TV studios, but essentially Ram Temple remains an important, very, very vital issue in North India. Less so in the western part of the country, and even less so in the southern part of the country. But the last point is, it's a 5-day test match. It's just the start. We've just seen one day's game to be over. There are still several more batting to be seen, several more pot shots to be taken. And this election has warmed up. This is essentially what I wanted to see this election. It's a general election, biggest democracy. There should have been more heating up of the campaign, and that has finally happened.
Okay, कि गरम तो हो रहा है. Election is heating up, that's for sure. Now whether it's heating up in good ways or bad, we can argue about that. Okay, I want to go across to the election intelligence dashboard and spend some time trying to explain what to expect on Friday, which is when 88 seats go to polls. 102 seats went to polls in the last and the first phase. So let's try and get a sense of what happens in phase 2. So 88 seats go to polls in phase 2. 61 of those are with the NDA. The BJP has 52. The Janata Dal United has 4. 23 are with the Congress, 23 are with the India Alliance, 18 with the Congress, most of which really come from Kerala. And some of the smaller parties have 5. Now let's just go state by state, because the biggest state that goes to polls is Kerala, where 20 seats are up for grabs. Now this is a battle between the UDF and the LDF. And in this battle in Kerala, the BJP is the third force. It's not really the main player. So 18 UDF seats. Obviously, in a seat like Trivandrum, Rajiv Chandrasekhar and the BJP will hope to do well against Shashi Tharoor. So those are battles which will be fought. But more or less, it is UDF versus the LDF in Kerala. Then let's for a moment head to Rajasthan, because Rajasthan becomes very important, because if Rajasthan becomes a caste-based election, if localized issues start mattering in Rajasthan, which is at least what the conversation has been around, then the BJP will have a tough time defending its 100 on 100 record. Remember, they had all the 13 seats last time that went to polls in this phase in these regions of Rajasthan. And I want to go across now to Sheila Bhatt on this, because there's been so much talk of Rajasthan and whether Rajasthan has become a caste-based election. Is it a national referendum on the performance of the Prime Minister, or are local issues in particular seats also starting to impact the election verdict? We will know as we see the trends that come out in the second phase of polling, whether it's a pan-India national election that Modi is the only issue, or on some seats Modi is the only issue, and on some seats there are local factors which are equally important in determining who wins, who loses. Sheila Bhatt.
Yeah, Rahul, I agree with you. I think Rajasthan became very interesting case in this election, because once candidates started campaigning, it was found that more than a national issue, it was local issues that were at play, and also caste system. And caste plus local issue, and I think BJP's candidates' tickets were also giving them problems at many places. And many places, BJP former BJP leaders were contesting independent, or they had joined Congress. So a lot of mess, I think, created. But
Rajat, do you buy that Rajasthan will be key in determining whether the simmer of discontent that we've seen is only superficial, it's just like a bubble on the top, and below that is all solid BJP base? Or is it much bigger than just the flakes on top?
See, Rahul, other than Nagaur seat, where Hanuman Beniwal is himself contesting, other than that seat, I don't see any of this becoming local election, caste election, this and that. The difference is just way too huge. 30% it's a huge gulf. It doesn't get, filled just by a caste narrative, especially in a national election. I mean, electorate, especially that too of Rajasthan, it's pretty decisive when it comes.
But they have to fight. It's not given. The election which was considered easy is no more easy. That's what I'm saying.
No, I agree with you, but the confusion that you were saying on ticket distribution, there is much more gigantic confusion on the Congress side. Look at, I think, Banswara seat where, they went into the alliance with the Bharat Adivasi Party and their own candidate refused to withdraw from the elections. So their alliance partner is also contesting and a fake Congress party contestant is also contesting over there. Similarly, that happened in Jaipur seat as well, where they gave election ticket to apparently a BJP's own workers. Congress party gave a ticket to a BJP supporter. So, and then they had to withdraw. So confusion on the Congress side is of huge proportion, embarrassing to say the least.
Sanjay, I respond to the point that is being made by Rajat, and I want to try and show that in data. The point that he's essentially making is, if you look at the vote share of the BJP and the NDA in this phase, there is way too much a gap. The gap is just too much and too strong, and therefore, even if there is some anti-incumbency, it will not change the trend line. In these seats, in all of these 88 seats that go to polls, if I look at the overall vote share of the BJP and the India Alliance, it's 50 versus 40 in all the 88 seats, but that includes Kerala. So from there, if we actually start looking at certain seats, and we start looking at what's happening in particular states, the gap is so much and so strong that it will not ultimately change the end result, even if the BJP comes down a little bit and the others go up. For example, in the 8 seats of Uttar Pradesh, the BJP was sitting on 56.1% vote share. The Samajwadi Party had just 4 in these 8 seats, and the Congress had 3.2. The BSP had about 26. So even if the BJP slips a bit, it's not enough for the Congress and the SP, which were less than 10 in these 8 seats, to go up enough to be able to actually change the end result. Sanjay Jha.
Rahul, I'll tell you, that is the beauty of politics. In politics, you live in the moment. The past is history. It's irrelevant. Because if I can counter argue that in 2019, you had a national narrative. Sheila is absolutely right that this election has got no national issue at all. Mr. Modi rode the wave of Pulwama, Balakot, and those do skew the results. They make it lopsided. And if a party is going to lose, that advantage of 2019 is statistically probably not germane to our conversation. So the number 2 point, that end of day, I think Rajat is making the point that Congress has problems. I'll tell you, I live in Maharashtra. I'm going to give you some ground report. One of the reasons why the BJP is struggling in Maharashtra is because many of its candidates are defectors from other parties, NCP, Shiv Sena, Eknath Shinde, Congress, etc. Across the country, I saw the last data, Rahul. Pay attention to that. 1/3 of BJP candidates contesting the election are defectors from other parties. You think that is not creating an internal dissonance and turmoil within the BJP to sabotage candidates? Absolutely. You think the voters are enthused? Absolutely not. There will be consequences for the BJP that I think people are not looking at the moment. The third point, which is very important. You remember Mr. Modi went to town about his 4 castes? Well, the farmers are getting MSP under the Congress manifesto. The poor are getting a minimum wage of 400 under the Congress manifesto. The women are getting 1 lakh into their bank accounts under the Congress manifesto. And the unemployed graduates are going to get 1 lakh in the first year under the Right to Apprenticeship Act. I think the Congress has stolen the thunder from Mr. Modi on issues of bread and butter, which is forcing Mr. Modi to go back to Hindu-Muslim. Will it work again? It might, but I hope not.
Okay, here is Karnataka, because 14 seats in Karnataka go to polls. 12 of these were with the NDA in the last elections. 1 was with the Congress. So BJP had 11, the Janata Dal Secular had 1. So 12 of these are NDA seats, and the India Alliance had 1. And this again is very crucial because, remember, Karnataka is a Congress-ruled state at this moment, and therefore they have money, they have muscle, they have the administrative machinery at play. And if in Karnataka they're able to put up a strong fight, then that potentially impacts the BJP nationally. Or if the BJP is able to turn this into a national election, then these local issues of local men, machine, muscle don't matter as much because the poll is about Prime Minister Modi. And in that sense, Sheila, but Karnataka becomes very crucial. In Karnataka, if the election is strong Congress government versus a national BJP, that's different from a Congress government that's under attack versus a largely presidential election led by Prime Minister Modi.
Yes, Karnataka is very, very interesting development. After Rajasthan, I think we have to concentrate on Karnataka. But here, this alliance will help BJP, I think. BJP will survive little better because of this. In spite of Congress having money, muscle power, leadership, everything, I think this combination will also work. And
Okay.
also,
I want to go across to...
by this time, Rahul,
Yes.
I just want to add one thing, that
Yes.
when this election started, 400 par ka awaaz tha, then this entire perception came that with 400 par they will change constitution and that reservation will be tempered with. At that point of time, Congress and the opposition alliance, if they were really genuinely united, they could have changed this election for good for themselves. But I think somewhere they have missed something, and Modi has come back in
Okay, let's
leading
go
role
to Uttar
and setting
Pradesh,
the agenda.
because in Uttar Pradesh you've got the UP ke ladke and Sharad Pradhan comes from there. The gap in vote share is way too much, particularly in these 8 seats. Now, in Amroha, Sid Danish Ali has come and joined them, but basically 65 versus 8 for the India Alliance on these seats in the last elections. Do you think the gap is too much? The argument Sanjay is making is that once the wind changes, votes can disappear, margins can come down, or do you think the gap is way too much for there to be a substantive change?
Well, Rahul, I fully agree with what Sanjay Jha said. When we talk about past statistics, that's history. Politics changes by the day. As you have seen, if Mr. Modi's narrative he is compelled to change his narrative. Then politics between 2019 and today, there's a world of a difference. And today, and even now, as the time goes, we have seen what happened in the first round in Uttar Pradesh. Out of those 8 seats, even in the previous election, 5 were with the opposition. It's a different matter that time BSP and SP were together. But in this phase, once again, it is the Congress and Samajwadi Party alliance is working pretty well. And of course, they took a lot of time to really stand united and to give the impression that they were really into it. And Congress was particularly weak, but as of now, in these in each of these 8 constituencies, it is giving BJP a run. Out of the 8 constituencies, at least in 4, the opposition is giving BJP a run for their money.
Okay, finally I want to go across to West Bengal. Jayanto Ghoshal, Darjeeling, Balurghat and Raiganj go to polls. All 3 of these are BJP-ruled seats from the 2019 elections. This is North Bengal, a typical BJP stronghold. Is it likely to stay that way, or are we seeing a more intense competition between the BJP and the Trinamool here?
Now, I think competition and the fight is more this time, because earlier it was the base of BJP, but this time the fight is very strong. But one thing I want to add, because the discussion is, main thing is discussion is on Congress is there. In West Bengal also, Congress and Left and Indian Secular Front, that alliance also didn't take place this time, what it was there in 2019. But one thing, that the ground reality of anti-incumbency for the 10 years, it is a law of nature. But unfortunately, we are saying that Congress can be beneficiary in these contextual changes. But what Congress did, the main agenda of this election, usually the opposition parties, they fix up the agendas like Bofors or 2G spectrum. I saw the opposition parties, they were the determining characters who finalized the agendas. But here, Modi ji and the BJP, they set the agendas, and still we are discussing on those agendas. That is the failure of Congress also to create the opposition unity, the India's united, the so-called alliance, that if it is there, that very strongly the opposition party's presence, maybe today what we are discussing, For opposition, it could have been more
Okay.
effective.
You know,
to,
ifs and buts
combat
are always
the
a part
BJP's
of life
aggressive
and of
politics.
elections. But this is here and this is now, and there's an Indian political league match that's being played, and naturally strategies are being adjusted as the balls whiz on the pitch. So this is where I wrap up this discussion. I want to thank Sheila